Let's pray. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us this far along the way, thou who is by thy might, lead us into the light. Keep us forever in the path that we pray. God, I ask that you would just bless this time together, bless this fellowship. Lord, I ask that this information, Lord, would not just stop here, Lord, but that the intentions behind this information, whatever it is sought out to go, Lord, that we would be conduits of making sure that we are taking action behind what we learn and what is discussed this evening. We thank you, Lord. We thank you for diversity. We thank you for unity, Lord. And we thank you for brothers and sisters crossing lines, Lord, to better this city of Flint, Michigan. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Powell. We call this meeting the Peacekeepers Global Initiative in concert with the Flint Local Organizing Committee under the Ministry of Defense, Brother Jason Muhammad, to teach on disaster preparedness. In light of all of the different disasters from natural to human, we must be prepared in order to make sure we can survive. Many of us don't pay attention to surviving disasters, but when we prepare properly for a disaster, we give ourselves a great opportunity to make it through the disaster. One of the disasters that the peacekeepers will be training on is active shooter. So in light of what happened at Michigan State University, we'll be going through active shooter scenarios, how you should deal with a situation when you have an active shooter, how you should respond, and the things that you should do. But not only in the school setting. See, active shooter is getting a lot of recognition in schools, but you need to know how to respond in a grocery store to an active shooter.
Right.
How to respond if you out hanging out in clubs and concerts to an active shooter. And how to respond at your home if you get an active shooter.
Indeed.
All of those are forms of disasters that we have to prepare for. Brother Jason, when he comes up, there's a pack in the back. He's going to go through, if you signed in, got a copy, he's going to go through disasters step by step, dealing with as simple as you being stuck on the highway and there was a crash in the middle of the winter and you only got a half a tank of gas and you about to run out.
Right.
Zero. How do you deal with that? What do you have in your vehicle that you should take with you everywhere to be prepared for something like that? And so I like to, before we go any further, I'd like to thank, first of all, the Flint Police Department for allowing us to use this mini station for this class. I'd like to thank the Second Ward Vice President, Dr. Liddell Lewis, for working with us to allow us to come in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Our collaborative partners, Rising Nation Mission Network, Pastor Devontae Powell.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And I call her Sada Shakur, activist, Sister Cynthia Haynes, prison rights, prison reform activist. She don't be playing. And I'd like to thank Ms. Nolan. She's been coming. So, what you should know about Ms. Nolan, she's been coming to these disaster preparedness trainings for over 10 years. We was doing these, and she always brings us things that helps us with the class and showing people how to prepare for any types and forms of disasters. So we like her wisdom, we like what she offers, and we like the fact that she's involved in trying to help every resident who wants to help. Because believe it or not, if a disaster hit Flint, let's say if it hit Flint, let me show you if we're not, if the majority of the people not prepared, this is what will happen. So let's say a disaster hit where people can't go to the grocery store, can't really leave from their house or their community, they got to stay in place and can't move for 6 months. They bring in National Guards and federal agents to make sure people don't leave their homes, come out of their neighborhoods. They lock the city down. Do you have enough food in your home to stay in your home for 6 months and not be able to leave?
Ain't that something? No.
Do you have enough water? Do you have enough perishable items? Do you have batteries? If the power go out, do you have candles? Do you have other means of getting power? Generators? I mean, it's a lot of stuff. The brother gonna go over it, but this is what happens. The people that's not prepared, when they see the people that is prepared, they're gonna come after the prepared people
That's
to
right.
survive. So I tell people, if you know, share it.
Right.
Because if you don't, you're going to bear the burden of being the focus point when people see you making it and they not. They coming to you or to get what you got so they can make it. So if my neighbor don't know, share it with your neighbor.
Right.
Because if you don't, when your neighbor seeing you making it,
they're coming anyway.
Look, survival is an instinct.
Come on.
When people are about to die, they make decisions and do irrational things that could be criminal, seem to be horrendous, animalistic, but they trying to survive.
Right.
So the best we can do is give out all the information we can so that we don't be a target for their survival.
Exactly.
So don't hold it in, share it. Now you can't get a horse water and make it drink it. You offer the water, if they don't drink, we have to keep moving. But at least let them know. So we don't be the focal point. Because I said, look, if somebody see any smoke coming out of a house when we lock down like that, and it look like ain't nobody moving, everybody gonna come out their house and be like, we going right there.
Right.
Something going on in there. They ain't moved. So they gotta have something. They must have some food, some water. He's gonna go over that. Simple things is we seen people who have fires in their home. And the first thing we want to do is get everybody out the house.
Right.
But guess what people never thought of? Having a to-go bag at their back door, a backpack with all the stuff they need important. If you take medication, you have your medication in there. If you have little children that got asthma, have their inhalers in there. Have your immediate necessities for women and immediate necessities for men, and you store up the things that you can grab it and run out. So if the house goes, you got what you need temporarily until you can go to the next step.
Right.
But most people just run out with nothing. And then you hear them say on the news, well, I lost everything. But have a to-go bag at the back door. The brother gonna go into that to-go bag. Before I hand it over to him, I want to briefly give an introduction to the Peacekeepers Global Initiative. This is the 33rd chapter of 34 chapters of the Peacekeepers. The Peacekeepers are all over America and in 2 countries outside of America. The 34th chapter is Saginaw. The founder of the Peacekeepers Global Initiative is Dennis Muhammad. out of Columbus, Ohio.
Yes, sir.
He was a captain in the Nation of Islam for 45 years, and he did security in Flint, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and the minister said in 10-10-15 that we needed 10,000 fearless men and women to go out into the streets and stand between the people with the guns in order to bring peace so that our communities can be improved and the quality of their lives exalted. So he, listening to that call, started the peacekeepers. The peacekeepers' job and mission is to bring about peace. You won't find nobody on the planet that's sane that wouldn't say they don't want peace. There's something wrong with them. Everybody, every race, creed, color, person, they want peace.
Right.
The greatest thing you can have in this physical life is peace. So we want to help by any means establish. And disaster preparedness is a form of us helping to establish peace where there may be chaos when the disaster occurs. So I'm going to allow our brother Jason to come up and take us further into this class, and then I'll come back towards the end. We'll have a Q&A, and we also, let's give our brother Charles Muhammad from West Branch, Michigan, a hand. He drove an hour and 45 minutes to come and put this on YouTube for us, so that people have the opportunity that those who weren't able to physically show up can go and look at this class and what was shared, and they have an opportunity to still learn. And we can go on and share it to people and friends so they have a chance to learn, because the more who know, the better off we would be. Right. The less who know, the more burden going to fall on us, and the more we're going to be a target when the time comes. So without further ado, I want to introduce the Ministry of Defense from the local organizing committee, Brother Jason Muhammad. Let's accept him with a warm round of applause.
Thank you, Brother Jaleel. In the name of one God, we give him thanks and praise for his opportunity that we all have to be able to share anything of knowledge that any of us have with one another. My name is Brother Jason. I'm a member of the Nation of Islam. I'm also a part owner of Red Line Security Guard and Investigation. We have a security company in which we've been petitioning to do work in the schools as one of our outreach efforts. Now, we're not a church or we're a for-profit organization, but we believe we have something of value to add to securing our babies. Right. You know, with the intenseness of the time that we're living in, we want to make sure that our children have the best, and what better than those who come from the community, who have an interest in the community and want to make sure our babies are safe. Right. I've been doing security for as long as I've been in the Nation of Islam, you know, and I was trained in the Nation of Islam how to do security, whereas a person, you know, you walk out the house, you didn't even look. Right. You look out here, you look both ways. You know, most of us, we don't even think about our surroundings. We just thinking about the next thing we want to get to.
Right.
You know, you're going to the store, you're going to the club, or you're going to your girl or your boy house, whatever the case may be. That's all we had on our minds, and so security is the least thing on our minds. That's right. And so by having that background, it enabled me to make security part of how I eat, live, and breathe. I mean, I think security all the time.
Almost 30 years.
That's right. When I told the brother to when I relieved the brother from off the podium, I told him to just go look out for my wife.
There you go. That's
She's on the way up here, you know, and it's getting dark out here.
Right.
And so I want to make sure she's safe when she come in.
need that.
When my wife and I go out.
That's right.
This the street over this side, so she on this side. She don't walk on the curb in my hand in my pocket, and I'm walking, I'm just twiddling my thumbs.
Right.
You know, she's on this side.
That's right.
Because why? She is, I'm only practicing
You
with her.
protect her.
Right. You
I'm protecting her.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm making sure she's safe.
Inside,
Uh-huh.
right.
And I do that with my children, I do that with any of the sisters.
Yes.
So this is a training that we've received over the years that's become valuable because now I'm able to put it into practice to build a viable, God willing company.
Yes, sir.
Right.
So,
Be successful.
we, Brother Jalil mentioned earlier, we've been doing disaster preparedness training for a minute. And Sister Nolan has been doing it for longer than we have been doing it. You know, so we have collaborated and talked and shared different things with one another. And our turnouts have not been great.
That's okay.
It don't matter.
But the thing is, we have to continually do it.
That's right.
I read a scripture today that I thought was key to what we're talking about today. This is from Ezekiel 3rd chapter 17 through the 19th verse. And it says, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Now when you hear that, just put black people there.
That's right.
Therefore, hear the word at my mouth and give them warning. When I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thine hand. Yet, if thou warn the wicked, and he turn not from his wickedness, nor his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered thy soul. You know, this is all, like Brother Jalil was saying, this is all a part of our mission.
Right.
If you have any care and concern for your people, you should do something to help better their condition.
That's right. Yeah.
There was a man in a barbershop with the minister one time, and he was saying how the man was bragging on his children. And you know how we do. You know, we're proud of our children. We're proud of what they have accomplished. And he was saying, I'm so glad they ain't around here with all these shootings and so-called and blah, blah, blah. And going on and on. And saying he got his children out of there. And the minister just, you know, plainly said, brother, well, that's great that you did that.
But what about the rest?
Yes, because if you don't give back to those who don't have a father, who don't have a mother, who don't have guidance, then that one will hit your son and daughter in the head,
That's right.
and all that you work for is gone.
Right.
So we have a duty to our community, and we have to make sure that we do something to make our communities a safe and decent place to live. Now, I'm going to try to be as precise as possible. Let me find, I didn't know we had modern technology here because I sure would have brought the attachment and put it on the wall there, but we're going to do the best we can. Now, I broke this down into several parts because we're just went through a horrendous event at Michigan State where there's active shooting, and unfortunately, I believe what I heard this is the 60 or 70th active shooting event this year.
Yes.
And we just barely got into 2023. And yet there have been that many active shooting events that have taken place thus far. Michigan State being the latest. And unfortunately for us, and there's nothing wrong with it, we have empathy and sympathy for our people or anyone who's harmed, who's shot, who's going through such a horrendous time as the active shooting situation at Michigan State.
That's right.
And so we grieve for them, right? Rightly so. You know, we sit at the TV glued to the station trying to hear all the different information that comes through the TV about what happened. How many may have lost their lives, how many got shot, how many made it and got away. Yet, we don't have the same or greater empathy for the daily shootings and mayhem that go on in our community.
Right.
That's
Right.
right.
You know, we have, it's almost a numbness.
Yeah.
You know, when we hear about something happened on Pulaski, you know, or out in Beach or on the South Side. You know, yeah, we like, yeah, what's the game on? Man, turn the game on. Right. Turn the fight on. And so, because we have this numbness, we are unprepared for when disaster strikes our door.
Right.
And then we don't even having a plan when disaster comes. Now, I passed out a packet back there, and I don't know if you had a chance to look at it. But I'm going to pull up just the first part of it where it says, it's a questionnaire. And I'm going to go through it because we need to know how prepared we are in our home, in our daily life. And it's not a question for you to ask, to blurt out where you are.
Right.
This is for your own personal information to see where you are in the process of disaster preparedness. Okay, so I'm going to read the questions and then you answer in your mind. It says, disaster preparedness questionnaire. Number 1, do you have, as Brother Jaleel mentioned earlier, do you have enough food stored to feed your family for 3 days? Now, think about how many people in your family. Even that one that come over and just post up.
Right.
Think about that one. Do you have enough food for that one? For 3 days. Number 2, have you stored 3 gallons of water for each member of your family?
Yeah.
Now, I know we don't drink water on a regular basis. But when the time comes, you're going to want that H2O. Number 3, do you have a flashlight and batteries? Number 4, do you have a portable radio and batteries? Because no matter how the government is and how much they may help or not help, they're still going to give information out to the community to make sure the community do what they need to do. So we have to be listening so that we can get information on how to better protect ourselves, because that's what you do as a citizen. As a citizen, you are responsible for you and your well-being, and if each house does that, then that makes the whole come together and be secure. Number 5, is each member of your family familiar with all the utility shutoff valves? That's a big one.
That's right.
Do you even know where they're at? Or you say, babe, where that box at? Where that box at that turned the lights on and off?
Turn the TV on.
Turn the TV, I gotta watch my show.
Yeah, I see that.
Let alone having something, knowing where they ought to be able to turn them off if gas starts leaking. You know how to turn the gas valve off to come into your house because you might end up dying.
Right.
Number 6, do you have a large wrench to shut off the gas if necessary? Like I was just saying. Number 7, is your hot water heater strapped to the wall? Now that's only mentioning if there's an earthquake. Now we know there's a big earthquake that took place in Turkey and Syria. And I know sometimes we feel like it's not going to happen here. But, you know, this is the time of judgment. It's not. It can happen anyway. And that's something that we don't control. So we want to be prepared so that if you are downstairs and your water tank shift, it don't fall on you and then you downstairs for who knows how long till they come find you. Because they find you because of the smell. Let that sink in. Number 8, do you have first aid supplies? Now, my wife, we go to Sam's all the time, and we want to make sure that we have, as long as we've been doing these classes, make sure our first aid kit is up to par. She get mad at me because we go through the checkout at the airport. I got all this stuff in my bag, and so they always pulling me out the line. But that's just me. Like I say, I eat, sleep, and breathe this. You know, I always have stuff with me because I never, you know. And I'll tell you about the movie we saw the other day in a minute. But I always want to have stuff because you never know.
That's right.
It's always better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
That's right.
Number 9. Have you or at least one member of your family taken a CPR first aid course? That's a big one. And number 10, does each family member know where the safe places are in your home?
Come on.
And I'll add to that. Do you and your family member, if you get separated, have a rendezvous point?
Come on.
Know where y'all gonna look at. Better.
If you get separated and there's a disaster set off,
Where y'all gonna be?
where you gonna meet? Have you discussed these things?
Right.
Because we just don't know.
That's right.
We don't know with the time that we're living in. We don't know what may happen. And the times are getting more. Never thought we would see a pandemic.
Right.
Never.
That's right.
We never thought we would see a time in which the streets were just, there was nobody on the street.
That's right.
And you driving down the streets and it's just empty.
Right.
Looking like one of those zombie movies.
After 9 o'clock, nobody on the street.
Nobody went on the street.
Or the malls are empty. And you just don't, and there ain't nothing going on. So these are the things that show that the time that we're living in makes it more and more important for us to take our own safety and security in our hands. So if you have yet to answer yes to all these questions, all it means that we have something to do.
Right.
We have work to do. And a lot of times I hear when I talk to people is that's too much. That's a lot to think about.
Yeah.
You know, that shit, I ain't got time for that. I gotta go to work. I gotta go get this money, you know. And I just ain't got time to be thinking about that all the time. But it's not that you're gonna be thinking about it all the time. It's that you put it into your DNA.
Right.
And then when it happens, you just take off and do it.
Right.
You know, it's not a part of something that you got to reach and grab, because if you got to reach and grab the knowledge, it's too late.
Right.
It's already too late. You are in a bad situation. So I broke this little small talk down into 3 parts because I want to make sure that we talk about the active shooting situation, but also later on I want to get off into a big plague in our community, which is child abductions and sex trafficking.
Ain't that so? Yeah.
And then I want to just talk as we wrap it up, all the different, violence and mayhem that takes place in our community, because I know we should talk about, having a home generator and having the supplies and things like that. And we will get into that as we go further through these classes. But with the violence taking place in our community, it's very important that we keep our minds sharp and focused on how we may be able to save ourselves and our loved ones. Only God has the ultimate say in what will happen to us. But you ain't got to go out fast.
Right.
And you ain't got to go out without a fight.
That's right.
This is a precious gift we have, this life we have, and we want to make sure that we do all we can to protect it.
Sir.
So, what is a disaster?
Right. Come on.
A disaster are serious disruptions to the functioning of a community that exceed its capacity to cope using on its own resources. Disasters can be caused by natural, man-made, and technological hazards, as well as various factors that influence the exposure and vulnerability of a community. Now, in the city of Flint, we all know about disasters already. They call it a water crisis, but it's not a crisis.
That's right, it's a disaster.
It's a disaster. It's something that has happened, and it has far-reaching implications that go beyond the point in which the thing happened
Come on.
or the decision that was made. The decision was made to turn from its treated water to untreated water.
Right.
You know, and then from there, the ramifications start happening all over town. You probably got somebody in your family who has maybe passed away, or got a bad skin disease from the untreated water, or children, as they say, are going through these series of emotional and mental situations from the lead.
Bones.
All these different factors are something that happened from a disaster because it overwhelmed our capacity to deal with it.
Right.
We never thought it would happen. We never thought that anything like this would take place, and when it does, we were in it. We were unequipped to handle it. Now, the most common disaster result may be from meteorological, weather-related, or geological events, and can affect any area of the U.S. or the world. The impact can be localized or widespread, predictable or unpredictable. Damage can range from minimal to major. Depending on the severity of the incident, they can have a long-term impact on the infrastructure, roads, bridges, and utilities in any location. And these are threats that happen from nature. But what about threats that take place from people who are unstable? The man-made disasters that take place from somebody who, because we have a mental health crisis in America,
That's right.
now you don't know who walking next to you that's ticking.
That's right. Sociopath. That's right. Psychopath, sociopath. That's right.
Deal with them.
Be careful how you treat
And sometimes you just,
them. That's
you had a hard day at work, or you wouldn't, maybe you were working, maybe you going shopping at Walmart, whatever the case may be. And the lady, she had her wits end. I heard one of our brothers, Brother Dr. Wesley Muhammad, he was saying how he was in Walmart and he was checking out, and the sister just went ziggity boom on him. Just started going off and snapping, you know. He said, she is rude. Now he said in his mind. But then he thought about it.
right.
Yeah, something going on.
Something was going on.
How many of our people, you know, who don't have health care, who don't have child care, who may have just had to drop their children off in a bad situation,
Right.
and then they got to go to work because there ain't no other money coming in, they the only one. Just think about all the pressure people like that are under. And then, if you're not careful how you think, you just snap on them too, because don't be talking to me like that.
Right.
You work for me. I came to spend my money. Now what if he just did that? And then she just said, you know what? I'll be right back. You know what I mean?
She could have went and killed herself, anything.
Or come back to, you know, I want to take care of you because you talking to me crazy. I ain't got time to be putting up with this. The point is that, you know, we have to be secure enough in our minds and in ourselves not to let little small things set us off, not knowing what the situation or the mental capacity of the person that we're dealing with.
Right.
You know, so we got to be of a mindset to say, I'm going to navigate through this situation the best I can, and then I'll process it later on at home. Now, many of us don't have that mindset. We might not have that time. But because you're in this class today, this should be the things on our mind going forward. Now, there are many different types of disasters, and some of them, they don't even get to be a disaster yet. They are what are called risks. And risks are things that are, one second, technology. But risks are things that are, you can see them taking shape prior to them as they actually happen. There are threats that don't necessarily have to be a disaster at the time, but you can perceive them turning into something before they actually get to becoming a disaster or a hazard. So like the situation in our communities, as far as people walking around who don't have adequate health care, who don't have releases or outlets, you know, and all these things are taking place in their lives, exposing them to now maybe a ticking time bomb. You know, I don't know the situation that happened with the man in MSU, but one of the things he said is that he felt slighted.
Right.
He said he felt that people ignored him or didn't pay him any attention. Now, I mean, that's no reason to do what you do.
Right.
But what has to be the response of the community when how you're treating people, how you're reacting to people, or how you're taking their anger and then you trying to flip it back on them, and now there's a big brawl or a big altercation when it doesn't have to be. Somebody has to be the bigger person. Somebody has to be the person that thinks prior to reacting.
That's right.
And just that whole situation where at MSU was just, you know, one thing about trying to apply for these contracts with schools is that the schools are in a different situation. MSU is a big, sprawling campus.
Right.
And it's very porous. It has a lot of openings in it. And one thing that I've heard through the news and the aftermath of the shooting is that they want to start instituting more cameras. They want to start instituting name tags and badges. But there's just so little that can be done in a situation like that, particularly if you're not united in the idea of protecting the population. You know, sometimes the security forces are overwhelmed. They have other tasks to do, or they have quotas to meet where they're not doing the thing that's necessary. And then when a situation like this happens, it's like they don't really know how to respond, because they said he was in one building, and by the time he got done over there, he was in another building while the police was in the building he had just left. And then he was able to walk out and go on wherever he went to and did what he did. So, you know, everybody has to have a part to play when it comes to security. And I'm not, now this is a great place, but, and even our houses of worship are great places to be. But we have to get more security minded when we having meetings. Because when we having meetings and we're thinking about the business that we're taking care of, there's no one on a post, there's no one on an assignment to make sure that the meeting goes off without a hitch.
Right.
Vis-a-vis Dylan Roof.
Oh yeah.
Church.
That's grievous.
Now he's sitting. No one vets. Nobody vetted him.
Too comfortable.
No one, you know, made an attempt to find out about him prior to just, you know, I'm glad you here studying the Bible. I'm glad you here singing some hymns. You know, who are you?
Right. He's walked on in.
You know, why did you? Where did you come from? I remember I went to this one church and they took me off to the side because I was a new person. Now I don't think they thought about security. They probably think about converting me. But they took me to the side and started talking to me about, you know, Jesus and the Bible and things like that. But I was away, at least one person was dealing with me, and I was away from the crowd.
Right.
And I thought to myself, I said, that was a good secure move, because now if something does happen, there's one person to take care of the business and he can start warning everybody else.
Right.
That front door is the most vulnerable position in any structure.
Yep.
Because that front door, that person has to be on the watch for when the person, whoever comes in, that may be strange or not strange. I don't believe how said we can turn a hypocrite overnight.
That's right.
Meaning that the mind you may have had yesterday when you was sound mind and you was okay, something may have happened that caused this, triggered you, and now you not what you was yesterday.
That's
now
right.
you a threat. As of yesterday, you was not a threat.
That's right.
So the person on the door is the person he greet you. He got a smile on his face, But he thinking, nah, brother got some liquor on him.
Search his whole area.
I mean, it's what you think. You don't have to say it to him,
Yeah, you gotta search him out.
but you're smelling.
Right.
You're listening to his conversation. He might have said, you know, yeah, this nigga up here, he did get me wrong yesterday. Why would he say that? This kind of thing you have to be listening for prior to him coming in.
Right.
And if he coming in and you feel unsecure, then he should not have access.
Right.
I was watching this one movie, and the lady, the man who's the killer, he said, you know, sometimes people are too polite and they don't even know who they're being polite to.
And that's right.
So you on the elevator as a woman or stand there, we be a man. And you stand and you feel something come over you when the person get on the elevator. And instead of getting off, God told you to get off. He might have said, so-and-so get off. He might have been like a little thought. And you said, no, that's not right. I'm going to stay here. How you doing, sir? How you doing, ma'am? And then he said, I'm fine. And he going in his back pocket all the time. So being too polite, being too carefree, have put yourself in risk and in danger.
Right.
So we have to, my point is that we have to have a plan on how to operate in our daily lives. How we go to the store. How do we go to school? How do we go to work?
Right.
Plans on how we're going to make it back home safe. Because we never know what's going to meet us out at the store, out at school. You know, my wife and I, we have a concert we go to. As soon as we sit down, I'm looking, well, there's an exit right there. I tap her, or she'll tap me, you know, there's an exit right over this side. And we go back to enjoying whatever we're enjoying. But we already know where the exit is in case we got to go.
That's right.
We in sync with one another to know, say, look, we got to make a move if something go down. And then we talk to one another about scenario. What would you do if something like this happened? That keep you sharp.
Yes, sir.
That keep you ready. You know, now, not just saying that we always on edge and we looking, who that do? Who is that? No. But by practicing, what's the phrase? Practice don't make perfect. No, what is it? You ever heard a saying that say, you play like you practice, right? So if you just carefree and you going through the steps and you just ball hitting your leg and you're not doing the right steps, you're not doing the fundamentals, when you get in the game, you're going to do the same thing. The ball going to go off your foot.
Yeah.
Be like, oh man, damn, man, you soft.
Keep doing it. Practice makes
But if you play, if you practice hard, Kobe is a perfect example of that. Kobe was one who just made sure he went hard in practice, so when he got to the game, he was carefree with it. It looked effortlessly. And that's the same way it should be in our lives with the things that we're responsible for.
routine.
You know, it should be a constant routine that we have to make sure that we're on guard. Now, one of the things about disaster preparedness is there's a part that's called, there's four phases according to the FEMA website as it relates to emergency management. There's mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. The significance of emergency management cycle is that all communities are in at least one phase of emergency management at any time. Mitigation, this phase includes actions taken to prevent or reduce the cause, impact, and consequences of disasters. So that's the mitigation part where you're practicing these scenarios. You're going over with your family in your house and you're preparing and planning for these things in case when you go outside, that when you face these things, now your remedies are already in place. They're already in your mind. So, like we talked about tying down your water heater. That's a mitigation thing. You're taking advantage of the time that you have before the disaster strikes to tie it down. Getting you a first aid kit. That's a mitigating thing, right? So that you can make sure you have the supplies you need prior to you having to go, having a cut or a gash or having some wound to plug up. These are things we want to do in advance to make sure we have what we need prior to the disaster taking place. Now, I don't want to do all the talking out. Concerns or comments that you want to bring up, please don't be shy. Let's go on. You ain't got to get on camera. You can just go.
I want to know, why do you need to tie down hot water heater?
Well, one of the reasons is because there's an earthquake. It can shake loose from the wall, and it can actually fall. Now, if you're there, it can actually fall on top of you.
The hot water heater in the basement that's connected to the gas line.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It can shake violently or loose from the wall.
Yeah. So in states that are known for earthquakes like California,
Right.
it's a code that you have to strap the hot water tank down. Michigan don't have that code because we're not known for earthquakes on the regular, but in states where earthquakes are known to happen, it's actually in the code book that when you install a hot water tank, you have to strap it to the wall, so if it shake, it doesn't flip, because you talk about 40-gallon tank full of water weigh a couple of 100 pounds. And if it fall over,
Pin your leg,
yep,
pin your arm.
If you in the basement.
Again, this is Michigan. And so you may not feel that this is a place that you have to do that. But as I mentioned before, this is the time of God's judgment, and you don't know when.
Right.
I have to come in that vein, because
Yeah.
we don't know when a situation may take place, to whereas what never happened before start to happen now.
Diverse places.
You ain't never seen it with no snow in February.
not this long.
Not for a while. And so these things take place, and we should pay attention to nature. You know, you ain't got to wait to get 80 and 90 like my mother and grandmother did. They said, you know, boy, the sun used to rise over here just last year. You like, what? Because they pay attention to nature. They pay attention to signs. They pay attention to things going on, because why? They're now getting more and more close to leaving here, so these things that they notice more.
Why?
So we ought to do the same, and we ain't got to wait till we 80, 90. We start paying attention now. Sister Linda and then Sister Noah.
I just want to know, how do you fasten it down?
We got our builder over here, Brother Jaleel.
They use sheet metal straps, and then fasten it to the wall. It's got to be able to hold a minimum of 250 pounds. So if you were in a house in California and it started to shake, say you had a 3.4, which that's normal in California. They have 1 to 3 point earthquakes on a regular basis. You just don't feel them. They call them tremors. But it's enough if you have a basement where it'll shake a little bit, and the strap will keep the hot water tank from shaking and losing balance, falling over.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Now in Michigan, like you said, you ain't gonna really go to a house and see no hot water tank strap, because people ain't gonna go the extra mile. If it ain't cold, they ain't going no extra mile. They doing whatever the inspector requires to be done, and they out.
That's right. That's right.
It's just something we teach in disaster preparedness, because they had an earthquake in 1953 in Mount Morris, and it tore the whole area up,
That's
took
right.
it out.
And a tornado too, right?
And that tornado.
I mean, that's what I mean, tornado, not earthquake, tornado.
Ms. Nolan.
Okay, overall, you talked about in the home, family knowing where to go, designated place. My concern is for the city of Flint. Is there a disaster place, a shelter that we can want to go to? Now, I know Northwestern is a bomb shelter school,
Yes, ma'am.
but is there something else around here that we can go to? Now, I studied that Detroit, they are a salt mine. You know, Detroit is a salt mine city.
Yes, ma'am.
And underneath there is a bomb shelter for the whole city. So I'm just wondering, is there something like that around here?
Last time I spoke to the emergency manager, who's our FEMA representative here, he was not too quick, or maybe he didn't know, but he did mention Northwestern, but he was not really forthright or forthcoming with a lot of the information. But I don't really know other than Northwestern, as you mentioned already. Brother Jaleel, now since Sister Linda.
That's something that we as residents need to find out, and we should know, because all of the top political people,
They know.
they already got something set for them when they jump. Because there's tunnels from the county jail to the courthouse,
At
there's
the
tunnels all
hospital, through
downtown.
the hospital.
They got stuff set up for them.
All the way in the basement, you can go
So,
underground.
so for the regular everyday citizen, they don't tell us nothing. We don't know if it's a place
Right.
where the majority of us can go in case of a disaster. They don't mention it. They focus on the people high up. So we may need to find that out. And then if it ain't one, then we probably need to start working on getting us one for the people.
And before I call on the other participants, let me say this. I want this class, I would desire for this class to come and turn into a network. You know, for us to share information back and forth and then build it out so that we have the information, as Brother Jaleel said, for the common person. The common person should know how best to secure their city. It's just not your city if your team wins. It's just not your city if something good. No, this is your city. You are responsible for this city. You are responsible. You live in this neighborhood. You're responsible for this neighborhood. But we have to build that kind of mindset into the people, because you already know you got to go to get something to eat. You got to go for the store clothes. You got to go work and all these things. And I say this, lastly, during the pandemic, you know, I had made a video and I said that what if we had a network and I'm at work, but my mama needed something back in Flint. I should be able to have somebody to call and go take care of my mama.
That's right, that's right, absolutely. Yep.
I shouldn't have to be worried at home and have to wait an hour before I can get to her, and then she end up dead.
Right, that's right.
Right?
Our network should be so strong that if you can't get to your mama, your loved one, I should be able to go over there and take care of what you need.
Yeah.
So that way the network stays strong, the community stays strong. Sister Linda, you had a question there, Sister Rose.
Just talking about how we don't know where to go and where the shelters is. Just back in 2007, I was a part of, you know, some of us from Flint went to Shiawassee County, and they had a disaster preparedness course up there to teach you how to be a rescuer during the course of a disaster and things to do.
Right.
And we got a backpack with hard hat. We had chalk for to mark the doors with. We got the vest, flashlight, we got all that in there. So while I was up there going through that, I was like, okay, so where's this for Flint? So I came back to Flint, went down to the administration building and asked them where was our classes? And so she stated, well, don't nobody sign up for them. So the money went back. So I said, how are you advertising it? Because I never heard of it. I had to go to another county to realize this was even available. So they offer these weather classes where you can go and learn how to read the clouds in case of a tornado type of stuff, which I did take that, but all at the same time, I'm trying to find out why we don't have classes where they're teaching us how to fill sandbags. So we have a flood, the community can come together and fill sandbags and stop the leak.
That's right.
So Flint is absent all of that. And I believe this is something that should be implemented for us out in the community, those of us who are out here on the field, the political people who are down here handling all the money. This stuff has to, and it's not going to be anything done about it until we the people come together and make something of it.
Yes, ma'am. That's right. It's a good point, Sister Rose.
Yeah, a comment and also a question, but, in the past, I have worked with the Red Cross Disaster Preparedness.
Yes, ma'am.
And at that time, they had designated the Kmart on Pearson Road up under that. I believe it went down many levels, and it was a disaster location, but it was never communicated to the public. But they have it as a disaster, and if you notice, that's why many of those Kmarts were never functioning or purchased by anyone,
Right.
because I do believe that they are disaster locations.
Mm-hmm.
The other point that I wanted to make is, in looking at Katrina,
Come on.
I think we learned something there. Because although it was a designated disaster area where people went, it was quickly overwhelmed. And I think we have to also take in mind, is it really safer to go in a location, especially in the era of COVID, where there's a whole bunch of people, or whether would it be safer in small groups or sheltering in place unless you just have to go out, so.
Yes, ma'am. And that, I was gonna mention, Katrina, because a key thing with Katrina that showed the holes in the government as it relates to black people and poor people. Their mitigation plans and they have really are left to locales, to counties and things like that. And their mindset has been, as it showed in Katrina, when the people trying to cross the bridge to find a place of safety. And not only that, they didn't just find the bridge to cross. From the reports that I read, they were told to go there.
Yep.
And then the people in that community turned them away with guns.
Yeah.
So what does that tell us? That tells us that if you don't have a plan for yourself, there's no plan for you. And we have to be able to make sure that our community is safe and that we do the things that are necessary so that we can be safe. And I'll get you in a second, sister, because I want to make sure we respectful of time. It's 7:30.
Treat Captain Dennis, want to address everybody briefly. He told me to call him and put him on the mic. He wanted to address everybody real quick about
Yes,
all
sir.
of the stuff that is offered.
So I'm going to go through this packet again just real quickly, and then I'm going to briefly touch on child abductions and sex trafficking, because that's a real passion. I actually want our company, Redline, to get involved more in that, because there's places, Michigan, in the top 10 for sure,
It is.
of sex trafficking.
It is.
We at that border.
Women and girls, and even young boys. So we want to make sure that we do all we can to put a plan in place to protect our children. So if you notice in your packet, there was, after the questionnaire, and this is yours to take home and fill it out as you please, but there's a family emergency plan. Something that you and your family can sit down and start talking about what you would do in certain scenarios, put contact information down, date of birth, height, things like that, so that you can make sure you know what your loved one's physical features and structure is, so that you can relay that to the authorities if necessary. There's also other information about where you work at, location, evacuation location, as I mentioned before, having a place designated that you and your family member would meet up if you can't meet at home. There's also a form for your physical characteristics, dental chart, feature side, your physical characteristics, because that's a part of disaster preparedness, having unfortunate to identify your loved ones if need be. And sometimes in the disasters where there's so much trauma and disaster, they may not even get to you. Or you know, it's so much going on. You may not be able to identify your loved ones for months on end or years on end. But this, at least you be able to identify different characteristics or teeth, dental records, things like that. That's a real part of a disaster. If you've had small children, this is a child ID kit. Because one of the things, the quickest thing as far as child abductions is you have a certain amount of time in which to get information out in the public to be able to have people looking for your child or your loved one.
Right.
You know, black people are the one at the least at the bottom in terms of mass searches when it comes to our children being missing or coming up missing. So black people are one at the bottom in terms of there being a mass effort to begin a search for abducted or missing children. Also, the last but not least, as we talked about survival, this is a go bag list. Brother Jaleel mentioned earlier that you should have a bag in your vehicle or near your door that you can grab and just leave. If it's time to leave your house or time to go, you're able to grab and have the things in your vehicle or in your bag that you need that can help you in your survival. That's what's called a go bag list. I was watching a program, and actually I saw it and I like spy movies, the Jason Bourne and all that kind of stuff, you know. So when I heard that, I said, we need that.
Right, that's right.
And so, you know, I start organizing different things and put it into our bag. The next list is called a vehicle survival list. You know, it get cold in Michigan, and sometimes there are traffic jams. I remember some of my family members. They was in Atlanta, and then they be like, you know, in Atlanta it could be an inch of snow and it's all mayhem.
That's right.
But they were stuck in the traffic jam. You remember that? They couldn't move, and people were stuck on the street for a whole day and couldn't leave. So this vehicle survival list is for you to have the things in your bag in your vehicle, because you may not have grabbed your go bag. You might just have a bag in your vehicle with your medicine in it, with a change of clothes if necessary, or different things, water or snacks, so that you can make it through being trapped in your car. And then also, lastly but not least, is the shut-in list. Because how many people do we know who are homebound, who are in wheelchairs? You know, who can't get out, who can't make it to the store, and their only means of outside contact is a loved one or a neighbor, and now they need to have the things in their house or a bag close to them so that they can survive until someone comes to see about them. So I hope you would take this package seriously, because it's very important that we start to organize our minds and then make it a reality in our lives, what it means to survive in these troubled times. Was you able to, you almost ready?
We call it cap.
I'm gonna go through.
Can copies be made to give to others?
Yes, oh please, please. I made a few more because I didn't know what the turnout would be, but we have plenty. You want to take another extra home to someone just to make sure they have it, because we want to make sure this information gets to our people.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I got it, bro.
Okay. So I'll turn the program back over to Brother Jaleel, so the brother Captain Dennis can address the crowd.
All right, let's give Brother Jason a round of applause. Did a wonderful job here, brother. We have the founder of the Peacekeepers on the line, and he want to have a few words to say to the people and give you some more information. So we're going to try to make this happen. So here you go, Captain Dennis.
Assalamu alaikum.
Islam.
I'm sure everybody's familiar with peace be unto you. We thank Allah for giving us this great opportunity to be able to address you. Can you hear me well?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. I first want to thank Brother, dear Brother Jaleel, who is the Peacekeepers spokesperson, but the greatest title than that is Student Minister of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. Thank you, Brother Minister Jaleel, for bringing this great opportunity and having, I got to say it, one of my favorite soldiers to give such a great presentation. Our brother Jason, give him a round of applause, family. Brother Jason, I know you tried to downplay your training at the FOI, but I'm sorry, you can't do it.
No, sir.
You just can't do it.
No, sir.
Your training is all in this disaster. We are taught in our training to be always. There are those who know, and maybe there are those who don't know. But I take great pride in knowing that I, for 45 years, secured with my life the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. And I learned all of it. It's always ready for a disaster. Brother Jason, your presentation was off the chain. I just want to add something to what you said, Brother Jason.
Yes, sir.
If you don't mind.
No, sir.
Recently, y'all heard in the news a train derailment in my state of Ohio.
Yes, sir.
Sent out 6 fumes that were so deadly in Ohio. We were not close to it. We're in Columbus, but it was closer to the Pennsylvania-Pittsburgh, Ohio border. And we're only 3 hours. So serious that the governor ordered immediate evacuation. That happened with my wife, and we immediately.
He's breaking up.
Ordered 3 gas masks. Dear believers, from militarysupply.com, you gas masks. Have them. We used to have them, right, Brother Jason, back in the day. Part of the survival kit.
That's right.
He's still pushing it. So what happened to mine? I'm sure ordering me some new masks.
That's right.
They made a very good balance point. But yesterday is not today. Whether you want to accept the fact or not to push beating down our people's throat, we try to not do that. Know something about us. We sincerely believe. Yeah, baby. Let it alone, family. The last days. We believe. You can take it or let it alone, family. That we live in an unusual weather, unusual snow, unusual hurricane, unusual earthquake. Earthquake is that we believe. That hour. Oh, whatever thought, you don't see snow hold your breath.
It's building up.
We get to come. Not the opportunity to prepare every time I went to Savings Day. I remember some Savings Day rocket weather. We are experiencing some nice weather, but it don't mean there. Those places may pop up. When it drops tomorrow, I'm always told that it's that kind of weather where it's cold, it's hot, that produce what we call pneumonia. Very careful. Brother, man, he really don't know what time it is. You can trust him if you want to. But we put our faith in God. Now what I wanted to say, and I'm happy to see my peacekeepers. I see you over there. Beautiful orange. Jason said, wanted this to be a network. I want it to be a network too. I want to commend Brother Jaleel. He gave me a language I have been using all 32 chapters. Brother Jaleel said to me, he said, Captain, you don't like to use the word unity no more. I'm a cliche. Like the word, Captain. Wow.
What?
I like that.
Collaborate.
Oh.
The word unity.
That's what you're doing. That's what
You find the word unity, you find the word join on. Wow. Everybody's not trying to join on to the nation. Everybody's not trying to join on to the people. Everybody's not trying to join on to the NWA. Everybody's not trying to join on to other people's organizations. But collaboration, working together. I got the word. Let's work together. Organizations, family. And so the peacekeepers, we're working together with Jason and the preparedness disaster, and Brother Rudolph and many around the country. We're working together with Brother Sharif in Atlanta, Georgia, who has the strongest 10,000 buildings that we can see in our nation. We're working together with all other organizations like Lives Matter. We're working together with the Reverend there of the church. We're working together. Let's work together. Let's collaborate. Let's together. And the nation is working together. We must follow the minister's instructions. Let's establish the LOCs again. Yeah. We give active shooters training. Now this is nothing you can give anybody to give active shooters. We have to meet the federal mandate when we give active shooters training. So one of our peacekeepers, he's one of my facilitators, Lyndon Young Nephew, Rick Morrison. He's a retired police captain of the Roanoke Police Department, and he's the one, along with the peacekeepers, that would give active shooters training. So this ain't nothing shoot off the head. Because when you give that kind of training, you must meet the national response. It's called run, hide, run, hide, and fight. I'm sorry. Yep. Run, hide, and fight. It's a 4-hour training. We want to start with the schools. I like that, Brother Gillette. Yes, everybody needs to know what to do in case there's an active shooter. The mosque has got a training lab, and a lot of drugs, they gave it to us. We need it in the mosque, yes. We need it to learn what you do in the school, yes. We need to know what happens in the store, yes. Anxious to give about those who's in the club, I'm sorry. You ain't got no doubt in the club, no house. Anyway, meanwhile, back at the ranch. Not nothing we shooting off the hip. Let's know, federally mandated and certified to that part. And if we decide to give it to a school, let me tell you something, it's not free, family. Not free, but if the church get active shooter training, and it would include community members, I think you hire our brother. Wasn't there? Get that training if that's what you want. So you could just go to the training. No, this is a little bit more intense because lives could be saved. Now imagine if they had active shooter training in that Michigan college. Maybe you all the other cities, all the other schools that didn't have it. You heard Brother Jason said, it's better to know it and not use it. Use it and don't know it, family. What we hoping to do in the time coming after our Savior's Day convention, we're going to get serious about survival. Most important things as we deal with preparedness disaster and home survival. There is a list. Sister Linda may have a list that we can present to our people in the community of which foods to purchase for home survival. There's a list. Let's try to keep it to ourselves. Right? To be able to produce that list. And be able, in the name of the peacekeepers, give it to those who would like it. And if you want to give a little small donation, we wouldn't be mad. We wouldn't be mad. Trust me, we wouldn't be mad. We are an organization, we're non-profit. Funding, I've been lying to you by telling you we think we funding. But let me share with you a new initiative that I am implementing after Savior's Day to all the peacekeepers. You ready for this one?
Yeah.
We will open up an alcohol, drug, and gambling rehab in the cities that I got peacekeepers kept.
Come on,
I want to say that again.
come on.
Alcohol and drug and rehab and gambling in these cities. Why, Captain Dennis? Because when you look at the crime and violence, when you look at the number of suicides, why did these lead to people who go into deep depression? Make them kill themselves. Alcohol abuse makes them kill themselves. Now this new gambling. Gambling that is being promoted by celebrities. Highest form of gambling addiction. Scholars said that. Oh, darn it. I'm going after Kevin Hart. After Kevin Durant. Going after those that promote this. And I'm saying, put the same amount of money for drug for gambling addiction. Put the same amount of money for gambling addiction. Because we're going to pick up a lot of those who can just go, instead of going to the casino, you can just be right on your phone.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Oh, we're not playing, man.
That's right.
Fight the wild people. You got the spirit to fight God that he gives me a double portion of that man's spirit. Peacekeepers, we the peacemakers, we the nation of Islam, we Black Lives Matter, we everything that's trying to save our people. Collaborate together. One of us got the solution. And our egos. And our egos. Fight to save our people every time. That Satan is trying to take them out today. Thank you. Thank you so much. May God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
I love you all.
We love you
Love you
too.
too, bro. Yeah.
Love you too.
Yes, sir, that's Captain Dennis.
Yes, sir.
Indeed.
Give him a round of applause. He's present for peace. We have a few minutes left before we have to close out and turn back over the ministration back to his rightful owners.
Yes, sir.
Is there any last questions, comments, concern? Sister Cynthia?
You didn't get a chance. I just want to ask a question about the sex trafficking.
Yes, ma'am.
Here we go.
I met a young lady in Detroit,
Yes, ma'am.
and she was undercover, and this was last year. And she's a grassroots, but she's undercover, and she was in Detroit. She was from Florida. They sent her from Florida to Detroit to investigate a lot of sex trafficking. And she let me know that Michigan was like one of the main hubs.
Yes,
Why
ma'am.
is that?
We're on the border of Canada. It's easier to slip us out faster across the border.
Okay.
That's why we are.
Canada, okay.
Yes,
But we
ma'am.
right there across to another country. We
Because
out
of the
here.
water, right, so.
You look
They got
at
the
Florida, California,
Texas.
Texas, Michigan, any place that have
Right.
borders.
More borders,
Yeah.
okay.
These are places that are very high in sex trafficking and abductions, because once you get out, particularly the waterways, you can go any number of places, and then we'll never see that person again. Now,
Okay.
one thing I in my research, one of the best people to find to help teach about what goes on is people who have been in the sex trafficking trade and have been freed. A lot of these people come and they have the inside knowledge of what to look for,
Right.
signs to look for, like what to look for if you see somebody in a store,
Right.
and what their appearance may be, what their mannerisms may be, because they may possibly be a person that's under the influence of another person who is got as one of their handlers. They call them, yes, Sister Linda.
Yes, at the hospital, I was labor and delivery, so I'm with a lot of women. And we had a circumstance, where a woman came in, and we have certain body language and codes that they have that we know to let us know that they in trouble.
Oh, okay.
And we had a woman who came in, and she was with, her handler was there, wouldn't let her out of his sight. So she gave the signal. She kind of put her hand across her forehead,
Oh, okay.
like she was,
Right.
and the doctors picked up on it. So what they did was arrange for her to go have a X-ray or ultrasound, which was going to require him to not be present.
Right.
So once she got apart, and he really got violent. He got violently angry
Really?
because he had to be away from her.
Right.
And so in his rage, they called the police. And at that point, she was free. And he left, which he's probably gonna be in trouble because he lost her. So
Yeah.
And they have a lot of,
She
it's a
said
lot
it
of tunnels that we don't know about either. Cause like the hospital got tunnels, and like you all were talking about them disaster areas, we could go underground across the street through these tunnels up there, and there's some in schools, they're everywhere, and they use these routes to get under, away from the surface. So this is how they're moving. This is across the country. This is even across the border. They're doing a lot of stuff underground that we don't even see, and we don't even have the knowledge that all this activity is going on right underneath us.
So is it more so, because I'm hearing more and more about it, like I say, I met the young lady,
It's
she's
old.
a grassroots. So why is it more and more now? Is it because the border is so open and so broad? Is that what it is?
No, this
Because
is,
we
this
hear
is,
so much about it.
we have so much of this going on in this country. And this group of,
Yeah, I know that.
we have people in high places too that
That's
are
it.
controlling
That's
this
right.
thing, and that's why it's so
Right.
hard to detect.
That's why,
Because
right.
you don't never
That's
know
what she said.
who's involved.
She said that too.
It could
That's-
be
and
She
anybody.
said that.
And one of the
She said
things-
that.
Is like you mentioned
She
about
was here from Florida,
the lady and having the
That's right.
training among the doctors and the nurses and the staff. We have to get that same kind of training. Because you never know who you're running across, who may be in danger, and you just so willy-nilly going through your thing, you can't even pick up on it. So we have to have that because our babies are being taken. Our babies being taken and sold off because of the misconception and the wrong view of black women, period.
That's true.
So now you a target. Our young babies are the targets to be snatched anytime, and we don't have the clue to pick up on the signs of what's going on with our children. So we need to have this kind of training, and that's why this class is important, I think, and that's why we need to keep it going, and tell your friends and your neighbors so that we can actually collaborate and get the training to everybody that needs it. So-
Another brief
Yes.
FYI, because I know the time here. They work in groups. You could be in the store, whereas it could be a Caucasian, it could be a black man, it could be a woman. You don't never know who these
Yeah.
people are.
Yeah.
And when they start targeting these young ladies and whoever is in these stores with these children, they got their schemes all set up. They already know who they gonna get before they even,
Yeah.
the person even come out the store, because they watch it from the parking lot. And there, I see a lot of young ladies in the stores that's got their children like way back there and different things, and I always tell them, look, get your baby. Put your baby in that basket with you, and stop turning your back on your child and your purse, because these are the ones they snatch off, because they're watching. They, just like the brother was saying, you security and you scanning the scene, and you watching everything, they're watching. And they're doing all kind of crazy things to get the people they want. So it's a sale. They're selling children, they're trafficking women, they're doing all kind of crazy things to our people. So, this is an awareness, and it do need to be made an awareness for women and children and people to watch themselves when they're out here, because they'll get you. And they'll switch you right across that border and you won't be seen again.
Ms. Nolan?
Oh, and I just wanted to add that due to this day and time, about 15 years ago, I had a vision of this time we're in. And right now, I am sounding the alarm. I normally wouldn't do that, but it is so much going on in this world that I've done a lot of research, and I get waking up in the middle of the night and I study. But due to this being on YouTube, there's certain things I will not say.
That's right.
But all we need to do is keep watching our son. People are already in place. And I don't know if we are prepared or know what's going to go on.
Are you saying son, S-U-N or
Yes, ma'am.
S-O-N?
Both.
Okay.
I'll
I just
just say
say watch
both.
our son, and I want, I'm listening, so.
I'm talking about the son of shouting.
Okay. Okay.
So this is something that happened so many years, biblical term.
Mhm.
If you study Revelation, from my understanding, it's up on us, and we're not knowing about it or prepared for it. 4 years ago, from my understanding, other folks has been in place. And come June, July, and some things, we just gonna start hearing about earthquakes and things happening. So we just have to pay attention and study and know.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Before we close out, Ms. Nolan brought us to show you these urban survival playing cards.
Come on.
And these cards, you can play like regular cards with them. They got like ace, diamond, queen, king, joker, ace of spades, but they have information on them. So one, the ace of spades. So you playing cards, but while you playing, the ace of spades say emergency water from your water heater. And it gives you information on how to get that water. And then you have another one, the jack of spades. And the jack of spades says eating during survival situation. Now, if you follow the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, how to eat to live, which is 1 meal every 24 hours, or 1 meal every 48 hours, or when you're real good, 1 meal every 72 hours, you're going to be all right.
That's right.
But if you used to eating 3-4 times a day, and you get in a situation where you don't have enough reserves to eat like that, and you can't go get no more, you're going to turn into a 24-hour fasting person. I'm going to eat once every 24 hours. Because if you don't, and all your food run out, that's it.
That's it.
So I wanted to share those cards, and then she brought us this tool, a survival card tool, and what I see on it is a saw, a bottle opener,
Screwdriver.
Screwdriver. I see a ruler, the measure, a little corner you can use for multiple things, but everybody should have some type of small handy tool in a to-go bag.
To-go bag, that's right.
I'll find more.
Yeah. And she also, back in the day, she brought us this what was it? It was like felt like aluminum foil, but it was a blanket
Yeah.
that helped you stay warm
I have some
when it's
of
real
those.
cold.
Those will keep you
And I'm talking about it was in a package this small.
Yep.
I got one.
And I got one from her. I still got the one she
Yep,
gave
I
me
still got mine too.
in a to-go bag at the back door.
That's right.
They
So-
also keep you from being seen through any kind of
Yeah, so that's a nice thing. So we'd like to thank everybody for coming out. Make sure when you see this on YouTube or Facebook, you share it.
That's right.
Make sure you let the people know about Red Line Security Guard and investigations. Make sure you tell them about peacekeepers. Make sure you share about prison reform, Cynthia Haynes, Rising Mission Network, Pastor Pop. He had to go, but we need to start sharing what people do.
That's true.
So everybody would know what's available to them. So you don't run into people and say, well, I ain't know nothing about that. I ain't never heard. We got a bad habit, especially in Flint. If we ain't in the right circle with the right people, we don't tell people about what other people doing. But it shouldn't matter. If we for the people, then you tell them whatever anybody doing that will help them. Whether you like the circle who provided it or not.
Tell Sister Rose, you mind telling the people about your virtual museum?
Yes, Sister Rose.
Yes.
Tell them about the virtual museum before.
Yes, March the 3rd of 2023, I have a virtual museum. It'll be on our website that we're putting together and finalizing now. But it's actually a way to just share Black history, a lot of information regarding the civil rights movement.
Yes, ma'am.
We also have information on there regarding the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his role in the 1960s and how he influenced Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to begin to focus more on the boycotting aspect of the movement. So there's a lot of different things on there, and it's an interactive tool that hopefully not only youngsters can use, but just anybody at any level can use and access that
Praise
information.
God. Like that.
Can I just say one thing? So I love that what you said. So, okay, I'm a follower of Farrakhan. Remember when he was on Phil Donahue?
Yeah.
I seen that when I was
That's
young.
I keep that in mind.
Dad, could you find that? I seen that when I was young. And I was happy to, you gotta get, somebody seen a TikTok. And I went back to go get it and I couldn't find it. Remember when he was on Phil Donahue? I was little and I seen that. How he addressed it to people. Some of them were mad,
they were attacking him, but
they were,
but
and he was so. Could you find that and place that?
Well, Sister Linda, you have that. Okay.
Because people need to see that.
Sister in the back.
Okay, so I just gotta say this because it's the truth. I was probably like 11 years old. I lived in Chicago, Illinois.
Yes, ma'am.
And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came to our house. He came to our house, and you know, back then, we stayed in the Robert Taylor home. There was a whole lot of us in our family. You know, you be quiet and you go in there with grown folks.
Yes, ma'am.
But I can see the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to this day, and he just glowed like a light. He had all of these diamonds and jewelry on his hat, and we was all we were little kids. And he was like, back then they recruited. You know, they came to apartments and houses and recruited black people, men. You know, to join the Nation of Islam, and I'll never forget that.
Get that history.
That's history right there.
You need to get that.
Right.
Put that in the museum.
That's good.
Yeah, that's something good to know.
That's something you never forget.
Yeah. So, we gonna close with a quick prayer the way we open. We always try to leave with the energy we started with.
Or just so y'all know, Savior's Day, February 26th in Chicago, Illinois at the Wintrust Arena. If you can't be there in Chicago, you can watch at NOI.org.
Right, it'll be at, so it's 2 p.m. Central, so 3 p.m. Eastern time it'll be starting. NOI.org. And if you want to come down before then to enjoy the festivities, Savior's Day starts the 24th.
Right.
And the 25th, which we have, on the 24th, we have a bunch of different activities. We have chess tournament.
He only said mention chess tournament because he in it. That's what he.
Yeah, I'm gonna be in the chess. If I win, you will see it on Facebook. If I lose, you won't see it. And then we got a Masters game. We got talent show. We got Believers social meeting. Then we got a drill competition.
And then vending.
And vending. Vending is like going shopping. You know, if you like shopping.
That's right, yeah, everything.
You go to the vendors, they be having everything. Everything you want. From all over. They be from all over the country.
And Mother Khadijah's Children's Village.
Yeah, Mother Khadijah's Children's Village be Saturday morning for the young children. So it's a lot of activities you can do before Sunday. So the only thing I would say, if you want to come, there ain't no hotels available within the first
3, 4, 5 miles.
Yeah, they all sold out. They sold out. So everybody coming to this one. I guess they feeling like this is it. So everybody gonna be there. But you can come down and enjoy it. My personal experience is like heaven on earth. Like you be around people, you don't hear no cussing, fussing, arguing, bad attitude, nothing. I mean, the first time I ever seen it, I didn't know that existed on earth. I was like, whoa.
And if I could just back up what he's saying, because we talk about child abductions and sex trafficking like that. I've never seen it where children just can run free and mama be in the class and she ain't even thinking about the children because why? They are believers and brothers and sisters and people all over making sure that the children are safe. They're not going nowhere.
That's right.
With nobody that they can't do with nobody a stranger.
You have to come experience it personally to really get the full. We can tell you, But if you experience, you'll be like, this what I want in
All the
my
time.
community all the time.
I've taken people with me and they start crying because of the spirit and
All
the
the time.
atmosphere, and they just like, all these black
I'm talking about people
everybody
always
fighting.
nice though. I'm like,
Nice.
I was like, I know something mad, but you mad. They nice all the time. All the time. So thank you, dear family, and give Brother Jason another round of applause. We gonna be taking the show on the road. We trying to get together his next location for disaster preparedness, and hopefully we can get some more people out. I got about 30 texts. People said they was coming. They was like, I'm at the YWCA fundraiser, and I'm at someplace else. And
That ain't gonna help you when
then
you
a
go
couple of
to
people
the
told me,
That's right.
some people had some legitimate, because Dr. Lewis is not feeling good, and then all of the people who was with her texted me and said they was at some opera fund thing earlier today,
Yep.
and they was around her, so they staying in place till they get a test to
Good.
see if
That's
they
good. That's
good
good.
or not,
That's right.
which is good. That we gotta be like that nowadays. If your throat feels scratchy, stay at home. Don't come around
That's
people
right.
no more.
That's right. Come on.
You cough these days.
Stay home.
Yeah, you got to stay home.
I told Keisha that.
Yeah, you ain't feeling good, ain't no come around nobody, stay at home. Because we don't know what you got. So we're going to close with a prayer real quick. This prayer was given to us to say 7 times a day. So if you listen to the words, you'll realize why we should say it 7 times a day. Oh God, we seek thy refuge from anxiety and grief. And we seek thy refuge from lack of strength and laziness. And we seek thy refuge from cowardice and ungodliness. And we seek thy refuge from being overpowered by death and oppression of men. O God, suffice thou we with what is lawful, to keep us away from what is prohibited, and with thine grace make us free from one of that which is besides thee. Amen.
Amen.
All right,
Thank
the
you.
presence of peace.
Present for peace, yes, sir.
So tonight we're gonna get a picture with all. Yeah, we're gonna.
Okay, we're gonna take a picture.
Charles, what you need help with?
Oh, yeah, I think I got most of them straight. I'm throwing in a bag and I appreciate the heck out of that.
All right, Captain B, we out. We're gonna get a picture.
Praise the Lord.